As Rachel read the scriptures, you may have thought to yourself, it was like Groundhog Day, the movie. Because if you were here for a New Year's service, that was exactly the reading a month ago. The lectionary takes us through the major scriptures over a 3-year period, and yet we're repeating one in a month. Well, every so often I do one-off sermons from the lectionary, like the one I did on the Rose of Sharon, or Ask Jim Anything Sunday that we're doing this year on September 28th. So you can get your questions ready and send them in to me. This Friday, February the 2nd, is what's celebrated as Groundhog Day. The CBC tells us that every February 2nd, people turn to the weather groundhog to find out whether there will be 6 more weeks of winter or an early spring. It's a great mid-winter tradition in Canada. The article continues, in Ontario, people rely on that albino groundhog named Walton Willie. But a new study has been done by the University of Waterloo, and it shows that Willie is not historically accurate. Between 1999 and 2020, he was only right. That's the wrong figure. I mixed. I think it's between yes, it is. Okay. 1999 and 2020, Willie was accurate only 32% of the time. So we really need to rely on the Weather Channel, headquartered here in Oakville, rather than some hairy critter looking through a hole in the ground. But for some Christians, Groundhog Day has meaning. It comes from what's known as the Feast of Candlemas. Hear that again, Candlemas. It's also known as the Feast of Christ's presentation in the temple, which I spoke about on December 31st and was read today. That time, 40 days after his birth, which according to Jewish custom, Jesus was brought to the temple so his mother could be ritually purified, and Jesus was offered to God. Please note, as believers today, as Christians, we don't have this rite or practice. It's not something that we have in the Christian tradition. In the biblical account of the presentation of Jesus, Simeon says that Jesus is the light to the Gentiles. Therefore, candles became symbolically associated with this feast of purification. And a special blessing of candles would take place at the time of Candlemas. In the Handbook of Christian Festivals and Customs, we read this. All over Europe, Candlemas was considered one of the great days of weather forecasting. Popular belief claimed that bad weather and cloudy skies on February 2nd meant an early and prosperous summer. If the sun shines through the greater part of Candlemas Day, there'd be 40 more days of snow. This superstition is the familiar story we know of Groundhog Day. The History Channel continues when it says, Groundhog Day has its roots in the ancient Christian tradition of Candlemas. The clergy would hand out and bless and distribute candles for the rest of the winter. Candles represented how long or short or how cold the winter would be. Germans expanded on this concept, selecting an animal, the hedgehog, as a means of predicting weather. Once they came to America, this was switched over from hedgehogs to groundhogs. Another writer says the midwinter time was called Candlemas in Christian tradition. Now, it's not a festival we celebrate, but I was interested to know how that tradition of Candlemas and Groundhog Day were connected. So what does it mean to us? We've had the easiest winter we've had in years. But many look at Groundhog Day as a prediction of how the rest of the winter will be. We certainly could get hit with the snow and the cold. So what do we as Christians today understand about this Candlemas and weather? First, groundhogs are not weather forecasters. It's neither science nor religion. It's a custom. Secondly, that cultural tradition is, I guess, our desire for spring to come. We want it to come early. It's a tradition like leap year proposals. On February 29th, you know about them? And this year is 2024, so it's a leap year. The leap year proposal stems from the old tradition of the 5th century Ireland, when St. Bridget and St. Patrick agreed to allow unmarried women to propose to men once every 4 years. It's a cultural tradition. It's not scriptural. It's not scriptural. So what can we take on this Groundhog Day as the message of Candlemas? Is this, that Jesus is the light of the world. Jesus is the light of the world. The candles that the clergy would hand out represented not only how long winter will be, but more importantly, that they represented the light of Jesus. Just like each Sunday, we light these 2 Christ candles, one for the divinity, the other for the humanity of Jesus, on the communion table. They are to remind us of Jesus' presence with us. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am also. That's what Jesus promised. Jesus is with us. The light of the world. Now there's essential I am statements in the Bible. They are about Jesus. The I am statements are, I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. I am the door. I am the good shepherd. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And I am the vine. So as we have celebrated midwinter communion, let's hold close to those statements that I am the light of the world, I am the bread of life, and I am the vine. That's what is critical. So when Groundhog Day comes each year, I hope you'll trigger maybe back to this short meditation. Think of Candlemas. Most importantly, think of Jesus. I am the light of the world. Amen.